Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Chasing Psychological Safety video series. So this week we wanted to talk to you about resistance. So the resistance to the human work. We talk all the time about the importance of human work and the importance of reducing the human debt and the transformational difference those things can make to help your teams become happy, healthy, high performant, and your business as a result of that change in the team. When we talk about doing the human work though with teams, we often find that there is a level of resistance. And it's really important that we acknowledge that resistance and that it happens at two levels. One of them is the organizational level. So does the organization really, truly, deeply value the human work? And the other one is at the team level. So the team throwing up resistances of, we have got too much work to do. How can we fit this in alongside our technical work? Not really seeing that the two things go hand in hand to make delivery even better. They also often will say, we haven't got the time. We're not these kinds of people. This isn't the sort of thing that we do. But then what we find almost every time is that once the team overcomes that discomfort, this work really becomes something that they're excited about doing. That human work becomes something that really powers and makes the technical and delivery work much more enjoyable, and they get better results. So when you come across those resistances, it's okay. All right, it's perfectly normal. It's perfectly natural to find those, because we haven't been used to doing the human work. We're still in this phase of really bringing it into lots of organizations, and the more and more tools are available now, like our software, but we need to overcome this small bump of resistance before we get to actually properly implementing some of these tools and methodologies that we're able to now. So really what we wanted to talk to you about today is some of the ways in which you can help your team to overcome that resistance.
Right. And as we said many times before, we're big fans of personal responsibility. And for the record, this does not mean we give the organization any occasions to kind of get away with it. We will always sanction what we see as organizational level resistance, but we also are big fans of the notion that we should not be waiting for the organization before we can see improvement at the team level. So when it comes to the team resistance, this is the type of work that, unfortunately, the organization cannot do for you. This is the heavy lifting starts at understanding that you have this resistance, and the heavy lifting starts at you comprehending where it comes from and what it is that you could potentially do to mitigate. And so the number one thing we would say you can do before you have any tools, before you have any organization in your corner, is to collectively sit down and think, right, so far we've been called upon to be doing only delivery work or only tech work or only research work, but realistically this is not going to fly, not in a world where our ability to understand our emotions and the emotions of others is valuable and necessary so that we go as fast as we can. So it's clear we are now called upon to be doing different kinds of work, much as we may not like it, much as we may not feel equipped for it, much as we are putting up this team resistance to it, as we're saying, we still need to do this. So once you have enough agreement as a group in a team that you have to do it, I would say that the second most important step is to have a conversation with yourself and say, how much of this resistance do I personally have? Where does mine stem from? Am I distrustful of the organization? Am I thinking this is yet something else that I'm doing without them noticing that it's for the good of the company? Am I fearful that I'm not good enough to be tackling these topics that are human topics? Am I simply overworked and burnt out and fed up with it all and so disengaged with this place that I have no interest in putting more of my emotional energy into this? So we would say the second most important step is that you do an internal audit with yourself. How much of this resistance do I have and where does it come from? And once you've done that, you don't need to communicate your findings to anyone. But if you find you're maybe short on EQ training or understanding emotions in general, maybe that's a good occasion to sit down with the entire team and say, Are there ways in which we can learn about feelings and emotions without any of us having a PhD in psychology? Are there books we can read? Are there things we can watch? Spoiler alert here, recognizing and understanding emotions is an incredibly simple thing to do. Sounds like I'm minimizing it, and I am not. It truly is a set of, I don't know, it could be potentially boiled down to, I don't know, a chapter in a book, and you'd be as much of a specialist as anyone else. It's a question of being willing to observe yourself and being really interested in others so that you can then relate those observations. It's that simple. So again, depending on what you found when you did your internal audit, bring those to the team, find little exercises that you can do together to start getting used to it. Look at carving out the time, say this has to be a priority. If you have a Scrum Master, have them protect that time. If you have a servant leader, which how many of us do or do not have, then have them remove blockers from your ability to take the time to do this work together. And then maybe the next step, and the important one, even again, before you have the tools, before you have the way to measure this constantly, is to find some type of a manual measurement, if you wish, or an indicator or a thing you ask each other that you believe shows improvement depending on how much of this work you've put in, and then find a way to take that improvement marker and look at it in a consistent fashion so that you build a habit on top of it. So again, serious, honest conversation with yourself, honest learning exercise together with your team. Lastly, find a marker, use it to anchor a habit formation, and then go ahead with this newly found courage of yours and shake the organization into giving you the tools, the time, and the recognition for doing this work.
Absolutely. If you can break down those barriers, and again, we find them to be smaller than you initially think once you get into this first piece of work of reducing the team resistance, then you can do what you know is the right thing to do deep down, which is to have more time for the human work intertwined with the technical work. So once you've done that and you're ready, please come and talk to us. If you can't talk to us about psychological safety software, then please just make sure that you watch our videos, read our articles. We've given you everything you need in order to be able to build psychologically safe, happy, healthy, and high-performant teams. So thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.